What if transforming HTML email templates into editable Beefree content only took seconds? From conversations with our customers, we've heard it can take up to 2 hours just to rebuild a single email starting from raw HTML. With the new HTML importer, you can programmatically turn existing email HTML into Beefree JSON with a single API call, transforming your templates into fully editable content in seconds, not hours. This video will guide you through the HTML importer and how it works in 5 easy-to-follow sections. We'll cover real-world use cases, how it works, how to use it, embedding it in your workflow, and we'll give you an example of a full HTML template and the JSON returned from the API. To kick things off, let's look at some real-world use cases for the HTML importer. Slow, cumbersome migration processes, they're a thing of the past. If you're new to the Beefree SDK, you can migrate all your legacy templates without asking your customers to manually recreate every single one. Do you regularly onboard new users who'd love to keep using the templates they already have? The HTML importer lets them import their designs and gives them instant editing power without the usual migration headaches. Or maybe you have a professional services team that helps new users migrate their templates. With the Importer API, that job just got a whole lot easier and faster. No matter how you're planning to put the HTML importer to use, it will dramatically streamline your processes. This isn't just about saving time. It's about empowering your users to finally embrace modern email builders without heavy lifting, unlocking faster onboarding, happier customers, and a smoother workflow for everyone. Now let's quickly talk about what the HTML Importer API actually does. It takes static HTML emails and transforms them into Beefree SDK's native JSON format, ready to load in the builder for quick editing. This is great for teams looking to migrate existing templates or uploading HTML templates to edit. Now let's talk about how to use it. But before we do, one quick note. The email example we'll be showing you in this video comes from reallygoodemails.com and is used strictly for demonstration purposes only. This example is intended to show how the HTML Importer API works and should not be seen as an endorsement or encouragement to copy or reuse another brand's content. And so we kindly ask that you use any email inspiration responsibly. Okay, when you're ready to transform your HTML email templates into editable designs inside the Beefree builder, here's how to do it. Step 1. Enable the HTML Importer API. Before anything else, you need to enable the HTML Importer API for your SDK application. The first thing you need to do is you'll need to make sure you're logged into the Beefree SDK developer console. Next, select your application, which in this example will be our email builder. So we can click on Details here. Now, if I scroll down, you'll see a section that says HTML Importer API. And I can go ahead and click where it says Enable the service and generate an API key. We'll be prompted with a pop-up, and we can confirm here that we understand that by using this feature, additional fees may apply. So we can hit save, and great, our API key is now available. This key is required for authentication, so make sure to keep it safe. Now, it's also important to note that you can set up the HTML importer with a free account, no paid plan needed. Okay, so now that I have my API key, we'll eventually need to copy and paste it into our testing environment. But let's head to the next step first. Step 2. Copy HTML and authenticate your API key. Next, we're going to jump into the Beefree SDK docs, where you can find information on how the API works, but also where you can try it out yourself in our interactive playground. The first thing we need to do is navigate to the API section, click on HTML Importer API, and then Import HTML. If we scroll down, you can find the prerequisites, which are just the requirements for the HTML, which we'll talk about later. You can also find the steps to perform the API call, for example, ensuring your API method is set to post, the rest, which we'll cover as well in just a second. And then if you scroll to the very bottom here, you'll find the testing environment. I'm going to click Test It, and we can see a window pops up. Now, if we want to expand the window, we can click this button here. And here you already see the information pre-populated. Now I have the URL, including the endpoint, and I have this placeholder collection, which we're eventually going to set to conversion. Now, before we authenticate our API key though, Let's first grab our HTML. And so we can head to reallygoodemails.com. And what I have here is this pre-populated email that celebrates how awesome dogs are. And since I love the layout of this email and want to repurpose it, I'm going to take that HTML and convert it to Beefree JSON. So we can copy it, head back over to the scalar environment, scroll down to the body section, click Other, and paste the HTML in there. Step 3, structuring your HTML before sending. Now, the correct HTML format is critical for a successful conversion. If your HTML is missing key elements or doesn't follow standard structure, we can't properly convert the design. To prepare your HTML for smooth conversion, you need to make sure it contains a doctype declaration, HTML and body tags, and a meta tag with charset equals UTF-8 inside the head. Any extra or unexpected content like merge tags or scripts placed outside the body or at the end of the file can cause the conversion to fail or produce corrupted JSON. Always use clean, well-structured HTML to get the best results. Now that the HTML is in there, we can complete the authentication step. Let's head back to the Beefree SDK developer console and copy our API key, and then paste it in the authentication section as a bearer token. Now, it's really important that the authentication is set to bearer token because there's many different types of ways to authenticate when you're making an API call. However, the way you authenticate for Beefree SDK's API offering is bearer tokens. Step 4, import HTML via the API. There are a few things we need to input before we can convert our static HTML into Beefree's editable JSON format. We already added our HTML and copy and pasted our API key as a bearer token. But we also need to set the collection equal to conversion. And then for content type, this must be set to text/HTML. Otherwise, the conversion will not work. Next, we can click send. And we should get a 200 here, which is a confirmation that my API call was made successfully. And if I take a look over here on the right side, we can see the JSON. This is the Beefree SDK proprietary JSON that was returned. And this is what can be loaded into the builder and then edited. Let's talk about embedding it in your workflow. So you can use this powerful API in any way that makes sense to you and your team. But one common use case is adding an import HTML feature to your application that allows your users to import their HTML with a click of a button. We have the sample code ready that makes implementing this type of functionality a piece of cake. To access it, just visit our support docs or click on the link in the video description. Okay, let's try it out now for ourselves. So using our demo environment, let's show you an example of a full HTML template and the JSON returned from the API. First, let's copy the same HTML from the email we found at reallygoodemails.com. We can head over to our demo environment, click the Import HTML button. We can paste our HTML in the window and then hit Import. We can give it a second to do the conversion. And just like that, our email has now populated within the Beefree SDK builder with a single click. So you can notice now how all of the elements, the images, the buttons, and the layout are mapped into editable Beefree blocks. And as you can see, once you load that JSON into the editor, most of the heavy lifting is already done, and your users can easily tweak the design or do some final polishing if needed. Think of it as 95% done, with full control to customize the rest. Let's sum up a couple of key points we learned today. The HTML importer converts email HTML to Beefree JSON via the API. It requires standard HTML formatting. It uses post plus text/HTML plus authentication token. Response is ready to edit JSON, and final tweaks can be made in the builder. Choose this if you want to cut down manual template rebuilding and enable smart migrations or HTML uploads. That's a wrap. The HTML importer makes it easier than ever to bring HTML templates into Beefree SDK. It's fast and flexible. It helps your internal teams and your users save time by converting existing HTML emails into editable templates. No need to rebuild templates from scratch. Just import your HTML and start editing right away. This makes moving templates quicker and easier for everyone. For more information about the API, its pricing, and how to get started, Be sure to visit our developer docs, which I've linked again in the description. Thanks for watching.